What if I told you a Meyer lemon and a Honeycrisp apple on M27 rootstock can both be called dwarf trees, but they become small for completely different reasons, and most people never find out which one they bought until the tree is either dead in a year or thriving for a decade. Some dwarf trees are dwarf in their own genetics. Others are full-sized trees grafted onto a rootstock that physically chokes down how big they're allowed to get. Garden centers rarely explain the difference, and it's the single biggest reason balcony fruit trees succeed or fail. By the time we get to number 8, you'll see why a tree that's genetically incapable of getting big behaves completely differently in a pot than one that's being mechanically restrained. And number 10 is the tree this whole channel started with, the one that finally makes the rootstock trick make sense once you see it applied to a fruit you already know. If you want more of this, real, sourced information before you spend money on a tree that might not survive your balcony, hit subscribe. This channel runs on verified information only, so let's get into it. Here are 10 high-yield dwarf fruit trees, or patio fruit trees, if that's how you've been searching, ranked from solidly reliable to the one that changes how you'll shop for every fruit tree after this. Number 1. The columnar apple, the tree that grows up, not out. Columnar apples, like the North Pole variety, are a genetic dwarf growth habit. The tree simply doesn't produce normal side branches, so it grows as a narrow column instead of a spreading canopy. Grower data shows columnar and genetic dwarf apple types can produce full-sized fruit in a 15 to 20-gallon container. That's a real apple harvest from a pot barely wider than a bucket. It still needs a pollinator variety nearby for most types, so check before you buy just one. This is the tree for a balcony or apartment garden with almost no floor space but decent height. It grows up your railing, not across it. Number 2. The Calamondin orange, the citrus that doesn't care about your light conditions. Calamondin is a small, self-fertile citrus, self-pollinating, meaning one plant is all you need, that tolerates indoor growing better than almost any other fruit tree on this list. The fruit is tart, closer to a sour, thin-skinned orange used for juice and marmalade than something you'd eat like an apple. It stays compact naturally and keeps producing even when kept mostly indoors near a bright window, which makes it the one to pick if your balcony is shaded or narrow. Number 3. The dwarf ever-bearing mulberry, the one nobody remembers, is a container plant. Dwarf mulberry varieties are genetically compact, staying in the 6 to 10-foot range even without aggressive pruning, and they fruit continuously from spring through fall instead of in one short window. It tolerates heat and drought better than most fruiting trees on this list, so it forgives an inconsistent watering schedule. If your balcony bakes in full sun for 8 hours and you've killed things that needed regular water, this is the forgiving option. Number 4. Arbequina olive, the tree with the longest patience requirement. Arbequina is self-fruitful, meaning one tree produces fruit without a second variety nearby, and it's genuinely drought-tolerant once established. Here's the honest number. Expect 2 to 4 years before your first real harvest. It's slow, but it's one of the few trees on this list you can realistically keep alive for decades in the same pot with just repotting every few years. If you want a tree, not a quick win, this is it. Number 5. Dwarf pomegranate nana, the one that's honest about being mostly ornamental. Here's the fact most sellers skip. Nana produces small, roughly 2-inch fruits that are edible but noticeably less sweet than a grocery store pomegranate. Treat the fruit as a bonus, not the main event. The real payoff is a compact 2 to 4 foot shrub with striking orange-red flowers that blooms even in a container smaller than most people expect a fruiting plant to need. If a friend gets talked into buying this expecting supermarket-quality pomegranates, this is the video to send them before they're disappointed. If you're starting to see the pattern here, every one of these trees works because someone matched the right genetics or rootstock to a pot, Not because fruit trees just work in containers. Do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps this video reach other people trying to figure out the same thing before they buy the wrong tree. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this channel exists to keep that kind of sourced, no-nonsense information coming. Number 6. The fig, the one tree that actually prefers being cramped. Here's the counterintuitive one. Figs are naturally shallow-rooted, and root restriction from a container doesn't just get tolerated by the tree, it can actually improve fruiting. Varieties like Petite Negra are self-fertile and bred specifically for compact container life. Most other trees on this list fruit in spite of the pot. The fig fruits partly because of it. Number 7. Kumquat, the toughest citrus you can leave outside the longest. Kumquats like Nagami and Fukushu are grafted onto semi-dwarf rootstock, often flying dragon dwarfing rootstock, which is the industry standard for keeping container citrus genuinely compact, and they're the most cold-tolerant citrus you can grow, handling brief drops to around 20 degrees Fahrenheit, which puts them comfortably into USDA Zone 9 cold tolerance and even short dips into Zone 8 territory, without serious damage. That's a real edge over lemons and limes, which sulk or die at temperatures citrus growers consider mild. They're self-fertile, so one tree is enough, and you eat the whole fruit, peel and all, sweet skin, tart center. Number 8. The genetic dwarf peach, the tree that proves dwarf, can mean something completely different. This is where the two mechanisms split apart completely. A variety like Bonanza isn't restrained by a rootstock. It's genetically incapable of growing tall, full stop, typically topping out around 4 to 6 feet. But here's the trade. Nobody mentions at the nursery. Peaches need a specific chill hours requirement to set fruit the following year. Bonanza, for example, needs roughly 250 to 300 chill hours, meaning 250 to 300 hours at or below 45 degrees Fahrenheit during dormancy. So a container peach usually needs an unheated garage or a sheltered spot outdoors through winter, not a warm living room. Skip those chill hours, and you get a healthy tree with no fruit. Number 9. Dwarf apple on M27 or M9 rootstock, the clearest demonstration of the trick this whole video is about. According to University of Maine Cooperative Extension, the dwarfing trait in these trees lives entirely in the rootstock, not the variety grafted on top. That means a full-sized Honeycrisp, a tree that would normally reach 20 feet, gets held to 6 or 8 feet because the rootstock physically limits how far the roots can spread. Here's the catch. That restricted root system is also weaker, so these trees need a permanent stake for the tree's entire life once it starts carrying fruit. It's the same fruit as the 20-foot version. It's just being told at the root that it isn't allowed to get there. Number 10. The Meyer lemon, botanically Citrus times Meyeri, isn't actually a straight lemon. It's a lemon mandarin hybrid, which is why it tastes sweeter and less acidic than the lemons at the grocery store, and why it tolerates cold down to about 22 degrees Fahrenheit, putting it squarely in USDA Zone 9 with brief hardiness into Zone 8, meaningfully hardier than true citrus. University of Maryland Extension recommends starting Meyer lemon in a 5-gallon pot and stepping up to 15, then 25 gallons as the tree matures, feeding it 3 times a season with a nitrogen-heavy citrus fertilizer. Now that you know dwarf apples are a full-size tree wearing a rootstock leash, and genetic dwarf peaches are just built small from the start, look at the Meyer lemon again. It's neither trick. It's simply a naturally smaller citrus species, a patio fruit tree in the truest sense that happens to also be one of the most forgiving fruit trees you can put on a balcony or apartment garden. That's the whole reveal. 3 completely different reasons a tree ends up small, and now you can look at any dwarf tag at a nursery and actually know which one you're buying. If you made it all the way through this list, you now know something most people buying fruit trees this weekend won't. Dwarf doesn't mean one thing. It means genetics, or rootstock, or species, and knowing which one changes how you care for the tree. Smash that like button if this changed how you'll shop for a fruit tree. And drop a comment telling me which one you're planting first. Team Fig, Team Kumquat, or Team Meyer Lemon? I read every comment. If you haven't subscribed to Grow in Small Spaces yet, hit that button so you don't miss the next one. Every video here is built the same way, sourced and straight, no filler. Sometimes the biggest harvest isn't the tree that grows the tallest. Sometimes it's the one that was built one way or another to stay small.